Welcome to the Fanatec GT3 challenge at Daytona. In this video, we'll be taking a deep dive into the different GT3 cars and comparing their strengths and weaknesses as we aim for the fastest lap time around this iconic track. For many of you iRacing veterans, the Daytona road course is no stranger. It's always been a popular track, and with the 24-hour race on iRacing coming up in a couple of weeks, the Fanatec GT3 challenge is bound to be a popular series with many splits. If you're new to racing at the Daytona road circuit, don't be intimidated. It's a fairly easy track to learn, but mastering it is a challenge. Most of the time to be gained is in the braking zone into turn 1, getting a good exit onto the oval, and how brave, or perhaps reckless you are through the notorious bus stop chicane. The Daytona road course has a rich history dating back to the 1960s, when it was first used for sports car races. Since then, it has become a fixture on the racing circuit and has played host to some of the most memorable moments in motorsports history. This track is a unique blend of winding infield sections and two high-speed oval sections, separated by the infamous bus stop chicane, where many a race has been won or lost. It's a track that truly tests a car's capabilities and separates the contenders from the pretenders. But as any racing enthusiast knows, the fastest lap isn't everything. To do well in a race, you need a car that not only goes fast, but can also handle the rigours of competition. That's why we'll be considering factors like durability, handling, and consistency as we put these cars to the test on this challenging course. The high-speed straights and sweeping turns of the oval sections demand top-end speed, while the winding infield section requires precise handling as well as a well-balanced setup. It's a track that will test every aspect of these GT3 cars' performance. Join us as we take on the challenge and find out which GT3 car is the best for conquering the Daytona track. We'll be analysing each car's performance in various stages of the track and providing thoughts on their strengths and weaknesses. Can the traditional powerhouses maintain their dominance for another week? Or will a newcomer steal the show? Stay tuned to find out. The first car we're going to look at is the Ferrari 488 GT3 EVO. The Ferrari is a formidable car on the track, boasting impressive top speed that makes it a strong contender on the straights. Its high-speed capabilities are matched by its stability in fast braking zones and smooth incident-free trail braking into turn 1 and the deadly bus stop chicane. However, the Ferrari does have its weaknesses. It can be prone to spinning up the rear tyres, making it difficult to get a good exit from the corners and leaving the driver vulnerable to oversteer. This is particularly noticeable on the entry to the oval and the exit of the bus stop. Additionally, the Ferrari may not be the easiest car to countersteer and recover when the rear gets loose. Despite these challenges, the Ferrari may be a good choice for those with the skills to take advantage of its impressive top speed, especially when it comes to attacking to turn 1 and defending cars behind in your draft. Overall, the Ferrari 488 GT3 EVO is a strong car with the potential for fast lap times, but it does require a careful and skilled driver to get the most out of it. Up next, we will be examining the formidable Lamborghini Huracan Gt3 EVO. This car has a few standout strengths that make it a strong contender on the track. One of the first things you'll notice about the Huracan is its top speed. While it might not quite match the Ferrari in this department, it's still a formidable force on the straights. Where the Lambo really shines, however, is its stability and control on corner exit. This car is a joy to drive in the infield and allows for early, aggressive throttle inputs once the tyres have had a chance to warm up a bit. The car's handling is sharp and precise, and it feels excellent on the brakes, allowing for later braking than many of its competitors. That being said, the Lambo does have one major issue. There's always a threat that the rear differential may lock, potentially snapping the car around almost immediately and uncontrollably. This can happen if you downshift just a fraction too early while trail braking, so be careful with your downshifts and be cautious if you have any steering angle on the car, and instead of relying on engine braking, use the brakes to scrub off speed to avoid this issue. Despite this potential issue, the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 EVO is a formidable machine that excels in the infield and on the brakes, If you can handle its rear-wheel drive setup and keep it from spinning out, it could be a strong choice for this week's Fanatec GT3 challenge. Now let's take a look at the mighty Audi R8 LMS GT3. This car has a lot in common with the Lamborghini in terms of feel and top speed, but it has a few key differences that make it a strong contender on the track. One thing you'll notice right away is that the Audi has slightly more understeer in the fast trail braking spots around the track. This can make it a bit more difficult to turn in, especially if you're coming in hot. However, the car is still very controllable and doesn't suffer from the same issue of the rear differential locking when braking and downshifting. In fact, feel free to spam down the gears as you brake. This will help bring the front of the car around and into the apex. When the Audi does step out and gets a bit loose, it's very easy to bring it under control. This builds confidence and allows you to push to the limits throughout the race. It's not the most thrilling car to drive, but it's extremely consistent and reliable, which makes it a strong choice for this week's race. Overall, the Audi is a solid all-round performer that excels in stability and control. If you're looking for a car that you can rely on to get the job done, this is a great option. It may not be the most exciting car to drive, but if you're looking to be competitive, it's hard to beat. Next up is the Ford GT GT3. This car is a bit of a beast on the track, and it has some standout strengths that make it a formidable competitor. One thing you'll notice right away is that despite the Ford not having the same top speed of some of its competitors, its acceleration is unmatched. Unfortunately, however, this car does come with some quite drastic drawbacks. Even on warm tyres, I found myself constantly spinning up the rears and struggling to keep the car under control. If I wasn't careful, I'd often end up facing the wrong way on track. This resulted in me short shifting often, just so I could complete the race distance. I'd often short shift entering the oval and exiting the bus stops, where a fast exit is crucial for lap times. This for sure cost me a few kilometers an hour and bled tense all the way along the banked corners of the oval. Also, in the slow sections of the infield, I struggled to carry speed through the apexes and get the car straight and planted before flooring the throttle. It's a tough car to drive and requires a lot of finesse to get the most out of it. In summary, the Ford GT3 is a prehistoric beast of a car that requires a lot of skill to master. It's not the car for me, but I'm sure the aliens out there could get some mega laps out of it. It's a challenging car to drive, but if you can handle it, you'll be rewarded with impressive lap times and a thrilling ride. Unfortunately, the Mercedes-AMG GT3 2020 was a bit of a disappointment on the track. One of its main issues was the tendency to understeer. The car felt heavy and slow to turn, and it was difficult to get it to rotate through the corners. This made it frustrating to drive and hard to get a good feel for the car and the track. Another issue was the car's suspension. It felt too soft, which caused problems with weight transfer. When the car changed direction quickly, it would lose traction and become difficult to control. This, combined with the car's tendency to understeer, made it difficult to push the car to the limits and extract the most performance from it. While the Merc did have one of the higher top speeds on the track, it suffered from a similar issue as the Ford when it came to getting on the throttle. The rear tyres had a tendency to spin up and the rear would get loose, although not to the same extent as the Ford. This made it difficult to drive aggressively. Overall, the Mercedes was a challenging car to drive. It struggled to deliver good lap times and was not that fun. While it may have some strengths, it's hard to recommend this car given its many challenges. One of the main positives of the Porsche 911 GT3 R was its ability to get on the throttle early. It loves to pull through the apex thanks to its front-wheel drive, and this allows you to get on the gas sooner than you might expect. Another strength is its stability on corner exit. The car just doesn't get loose, so you don't have to worry about losing traction. This makes it easier to drive and allows you to focus on other aspects of your lap. However, there are some major negatives to consider with the Porsche. One issue is its tendency to understeer on corner entry and mid-corner. Because of this, you'll need to back up your brake markers a few meters, and the phrase slow in, fast out has never been more applicable. Another weakness is its poor acceleration. cars you're following will pull away quickly at the start of straights, and this can be frustrating. Not only does the car have poor acceleration, but it also has the slowest top speed of all the cars in this comparison, which is extremely noticeable on the oval section. At Daytona, the Porsche is going to be extremely reliant on drafting to maintain its speed. If you're not in the draft in the car in front of you, you'll lose so much time. This means you'll need to be mindful of your positioning on track and try to stay in the slipstream of other cars as much as possible. If you're signing up for this race for safety rating and don't mind finishing near the back, then perhaps this is the car for you. Overall, the Porsche 911 is a solid car that is easy to drive, but it has some significant weaknesses that hold it back in a race. In my opinion, the McLaren MP4-12C GT3 has been underrated so far in the current BOP, and although it doesn't suit all tracks, there are some where it really shines. Will this be the case at Daytona this week? Perhaps not, but I don't think it's far off. This car has a number of strong points that make it a solid choice for this week's race at Daytona. Its excellent acceleration allows you to get right on the back of the car you are following, giving you opportunities to line up and overtake in the infield, and, if you're feeling brave, even into the bus stop. The top speed is average compared to the other cars, but it's still a solid performer. Additionally, the McLaren feels light, nimble, making it one of the more fun cars to drive in my opinion. There are a few things to be aware of. The car has very high tyre wear, which is something to keep in mind over the course of a longer race. However, over a 20-minute race, this shouldn't become an issue. Additionally, taking the bus stop chicane too fast can be risky, particularly on cold tyres. It's important to be careful and avoid overdriving in these situations. The McLaren's a strong choice for this week. Its acceleration and nimble handling make it a joy to drive, and while you need to be mindful of tyre wear and avoid overdriving on cold tyres, it's still a formidable competitor. Finally, we'll take a close look at the BMW M4 GT3. This car performs solidly and delivers a stable and reliable performance on track. It may not be the most nimble or pointy in the corners, but it's easy to recover from any moments or mistakes thanks to its lack of snap oversteer. While it feels heavy and somewhat lethargic to drive, the BMW more than makes up for it. Despite its seemingly relaxed demeanour, I was able to achieve very respectable lap times and be consistent. Overall, the Beamer is a solid choice for this week's race. It may not be the most exciting car to drive, but it's consistent and stable, making it a good option for those who value a steady and reliable performance over outright pace. I think this car will particularly shine in the lower splits, where simply getting round clean can be enough to secure a podium finish. If you're looking for a car that can deliver solid and dependable results, the BMW is worth considering for Daytona. I'll be doing a few of these races this week, and I think I'll primarily be driving the Audi. It's fairly easy to drive and is a strong choice for yet another week. I'd love to try the Lamborghini Huracan, but I'm just not as confident in it due to the rear differential locking on downshifts. I'm also curious to see how the Ferrari will perform with its high top speed, so I'll probably give it a shot also. And if things really don't go well and I just am desperate to finish a race, I'll jump in the super stable BMW. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing. If you have any suggestions how I can improve the video for next week, please let me know in the comments. And don't forget to follow me on Twitch, where I stream my races. The link is in the video description. Thanks again, and see you on track.